Good day, I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate, working under Senior Researcher Dr. Jenkins. This is the Order of Merlin's 6th training video for new hunters and for old hunters who feel they need a refresher. We will be starting with the Order's general announcements. The Order has become aware of several hunters illegally acquiring firearms not approved by the Welsh Assembly Government or the UK Parliament. Although we at the Order understand the want to improve your arsenal, we must remind you that you sit in an awkward legal grey area. Because hunters in Wales are classified as civilian contractors and not a branch of the military like the English KSG, you are held to different restrictions than your Saesneg counterparts. We realise the unfairness of this, but if you wish to continue to operate and not have the KSG replace you, which they've wanted to do for some time, you must continue to walk the narrow grey line we've managed to mark out for you. Finally, a situation has slowly been developing in the village of Aberaeron. For the past 2 weeks, it has rained consistently for 1 hour twice a day at 3 o'clock. Along with the residents talking, or more proselytizing, about a scaly-armed god to anyone who will listen. We'd like to assemble a 5-man team with at least 3 master hunters with experience in the Eldritch sphere. This should only be a reconnaissance trip, however, the Order will be providing 1 MMB to each man just in case, the value of which will be deducted from your overall pay if used. With the announcements out of the way, we can begin. Today, we'll be doing a detailed study of the Entropic sphere's very own vampires. The vampire is probably the most famous member of the Entropic sphere, but also probably the most misunderstood due to the actions of one individual in particular. The vampiric curse is one that is spread from person to person at the discretion of an inflicted person, though not through bite. Completely new instances of the curse can also be created via a similar process to that which creates spirits, though it is far rarer. So I don't spend half my time repeating the words unlike in the popular culture's view. I will proceed as if you've never heard the word vampire before and explain the misconceptions within its own dedicated slide. A vampire is a cursed human being given eternal youth. This at first may seem like a blessing, however, it comes at a steep price. The individual is robbed of all personal emotion, as well as the sense of touch and taste. They are, however, made into empaths, able to feel the emotions of those around them as if they were their own. This will lead an early afflicted person to seek out a close relationship with a normal human, romantic or otherwise. This is to alleviate their crippling sense of loss, the only true feeling left to them by the curse. At this stage, the vampire surprisingly makes for a very good partner by all accounts, attentive and completely attuned due to them only experiencing the same emotions as their partner at all times. The true issues arrive once the individual reaches around their first century of age. This is where the vampire spirals into their far darker nature. It is a noted phenomenon amongst humans that at a certain age we feel our time has passed and we have nothing left to experience. In essence, we're ready to go, usually occurring around the age of 90 and persisting until death. A similar phenomenon exists within vampires, however, due to their youth and lack of authentic emotions, it expresses itself far differently. With their partner being long dead and all strong feelings about them completely lost, the individual may attempt to begin a second relationship, however, this is doomed. The vampire, unsatisfied with the emotions it has experienced for a lifetime before, will begin to seek out more extreme sensations, usually beginning simply with an increased desire for pushing people into more thrill-seeking situations. This will evolve into more destructive behaviors, forcing people into actively dangerous positions. This degeneration will continue with the vampire becoming slowly more sadistic in an effort to experience the heights of human emotion, using their empathic abilities to manipulate their would-be victims. This behavior has led to many such vampires being mistaken for human serial killers in the past, with torture and mutilation being common acts amongst individuals of hyper-advanced age. By this point, the level of sadism can only worsen as the vampire seeks more and more extreme sensations. Many of the common misconceptions of vampires comes from Elizabeth Bathory, a 16th century Hungarian noblewoman. Lady Bathory herself was a vampire, and due to her own fixation with the blood of virgin girls, which she reveled in painfully extracting, created the myth of vampires needing to persist upon blood. This somewhat ironically led to the practice of drinking blood amongst many vampires, but more as a tactic of intimidation to their victims and a sign of status amongst their peers. It was once true that the crucifix had a profound effect upon vampires, but not due to any power of the Abrahamic sphere, but more due to the overwhelming religious fervor of the people using them against them at the time, flooding the vampire's empathic sense. This truly wholehearted belief is lacking for the most part in today's world, rendering such religious symbols ineffective. For more folk beliefs such as garlic and the like, we do not have any documented evidence of them ever being truly effective at any point in human history. As for the vampire's more supernatural abilities such as flight or shapeshifting, no individuals with these abilities have been observed. However, the ability to perfectly avoid people's passive gaze perception has been noted, making it exceedingly difficult to tell if one such individual is stalking you. When it comes to their aversion to sunlight, this seems to have more to do with them wanting to avoid large groups of people who aren't experiencing similar emotions, which can overwhelm their empathic sense, leaving them dazed and confused. Lastly, supernatural strength has not been observed. Instead, vampiric individuals will ambush or trap their victims, always acting once they have the advantage and never before. Often, they will invite their would-be victim to some location where they have full control over the environment, and by this point, it is usually too late. Though it should not affect our decision-making, it should be remembered that these people were once human who are unlucky enough to be cursed, usually through no fault of their own. In a sense, these people are victims also, but this fact can quickly become lost due to the extreme levels of suffering they regularly inflict upon others. I bring this up because of the unfortunate fact that some hunters, so disgusted by the horrific acts the vampires have inflicted upon their victims, will resort to attempts at revenge upon them. This is self-defeating. As stated before, vampires feel no emotions themselves and are unable to feel pain or any other physical sensation firsthand. All you achieve by doing this is corroding your own mental well-being while possibly giving the vampire the emotions it craves. The Order strongly recommends that you dispatch the vampire at your first available moment and that you do not drag out the experience. The Order does check the remains of said targets, and if it is found that the vampire was put through an unnecessary amount of physical trauma before its death, the hunter responsible will be put on suspension until a full psychiatric evaluation has been performed. This is the end of today's lesson. I'd like to thank you for listening today and hope that you take all you've learned to heart. Remember, revenge isn't the same thing as justice, and by partaking in the seductive allure of revenge, you only serve to shrivel your own humanity. With Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom, thank you.